night he was forced out of the house. The door did not slam. It closed softly, almost politely, which somehow made it worse. The porch light stayed on, casting a pale circle on the cold ground where a thin boy stood clutching a torn backpack, his breath fogging the air. Beside him, a muddy brown dog pressed close, tail low but body alert, as if daring the world to try one more cruelty. In that quiet moment, with nowhere left to go and winter creeping in fast, a child learned what abandonment truly felt like. He also learned, though he did not know it yet, that this night would lead him to the one place that would change everything. Before the story continues, if you believe in the silent hero's second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Stories like this exist because hope deserves to be heard. The boy's name was Ethan Miller, a 14-year-old living in a small town in the United States where people smiled in public and hid their worst selves behind closed doors. After his father died in a workplace accident, the house that once felt safe slowly turned cold. His stepmother, Linda, never struck him, never raised her voice in front of neighbors. She simply erased him piece by piece. Meals grew smaller. His room was taken for storage. His presence became an inconvenience she no longer pretended to tolerate. When the last check from his father's life insurance ran out, so did her patience. She told him he was old enough to figure life out on his own, then turned away as if throwing out trash. Ethan did not cry. He had learned that tears only made things worse. He walked until his legs shook, following roads that led nowhere familiar, his loyal dog Max never leaving his side. Max had been his father's gift years ago, a rescue mutt with one ear bent and eyes that understood pain. If the world had decided Ethan no longer belonged, Max disagreed with every fiber of his being. They slept under an overpass the first night, wrapped in Ethan's thin jacket and Max's warmth. Hunger arrived quickly. Fear arrived faster. Ethan wondered how many nights a boy could survive like this before disappearing into the cracks of society. He prayed silently, not with fancy words, but with a simple request learned from Sunday school long ago. Please, let's make it through tomorrow. The abandoned cabin appeared 3 days later, deep in a stretch of forest locals avoided. It was old, nearly swallowed by trees and brush, its windows clouded with dust and time. Ethan almost walked past it, afraid of what abandoned places sometimes held. But the sky darkened early, snow threatening, and Max tugged gently toward the door, sensing shelter. Inside, the cabin was cold but intact. A stone fireplace stood against one wall, and though the furniture was broken, the roof held firm. For the first time since being kicked out, Ethan felt something close to safety. Survival became their full-time job. Ethan learned to forage, to set simple traps, to split wood until his hands blistered. Max guarded the cabin fiercely, barking at distant sounds, curling beside Ethan at night. The loneliness pressed hard, especially when hunger gnawed and memories of school and normal life felt like scenes from another universe. There were moments Ethan considered going back, begging, but pride and fear kept him rooted. Something inside him said this cabin was not an accident. One afternoon, while clearing debris behind a fireplace, Ethan noticed carvings on the stone. Faint crosses and initials etched deep into the rock. Curious, he scraped away soot and discovered a hidden compartment sealed with iron. Inside were journals wrapped in oilcloth, preserved with care. The handwriting was old, belonging to a man named Samuel Brooks, a reclusive carpenter who built the cabin decades earlier. Page by page, Ethan learned Samuel's story. A man shunned for refusing to sell his land to developers. A quiet Christian who believed in stewardship and second chances. A man who had not money, but something far more powerful. The journals detailed land deeds, legal documents, and proof of ownership for hundreds of acres surrounding the cabin. Land now worth millions due to a nearby infrastructure expansion no one had anticipated years ago. Samuel had no heirs. He wrote that if anyone found these records while truly in need, they were meant to carry his legacy forward, not sell it to the highest bidder. Ethan did not understand all the legal language, but he understood enough to know this was important. Fear returned. He was a homeless boy with a dog, holding papers that powerful people would want. But he also felt something else growing. Purpose. With the help of a small church he cautiously approached, Ethan's discovery was verified. Lawyers got involved. Authorities asked questions. Through it all, Max stayed at his side, calm and watchful. The cabin, once ignored, became the center of attention. News spread, not a treasure, but a boy who survived abandonment and found responsibility instead of revenge. The land was legally transferred into a trust managed on Ethan's behalf until adulthood, with strict protections to honor Samuel's wishes. Part of the land was donated to conservation. Another part funded community housing and shelters for displaced youth. Ethan was offered foster care again, but this time with choice. He was adopted by a family from the church who saw him not as a headline, but as a child who needed patience and healing. Near the end of the story, if it touched your heart or reminded you that kindness still matters, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach others who need hope. Just before the ending, please comment below if you believe that loyalty and faith can change destinies, even in the darkest moments. Years later, the cabin still stands, restored but humble. Ethan returns often, now a young man, with Max graying at the muzzle but still loyal. The cabin is no longer a hiding place. It is a reminder that being cast out did not mean being forgotten. That sometimes the worst night of your life is the doorway to something greater. And that even when humans fail, a loyal heart and quiet faith can guide you home.